Ashek from SIT, Singapore Institute of Technology. And in this video, we will be talking about the sprint retrospective, which basically marks the end of a sprint cycle in a Scrum process. So the sprint retrospective is a time to reflect, and it normally comes right after the sprint review, in which the team is supposed to be reflecting on the process. And the three things that are supposed to be covered in the sprint retrospective is basically what went well, what did not go so well, as well as several actions that the team needs to commit to in order to improve upon this process. With that, we will be looking at some footage of a recent sprint retrospective that we have done in a real project recently. So we just ended the sprint review and we are conducting the sprint retrospective. So in this video, you see me, who is the Scrum Master, hosting the meeting as usual. And here I've already set up the board to facilitate the discussion in terms of separating the board into three relevant points of discussion for the sprint retrospective. Next, you can also see that I've taken the role of writing everybody's points down so that everyone can see what's up for discussion in our goal towards making the next sprint better. And I'm also having the role of managing all the pace of discussion and making sure that everything that's discussed is relevant to the sprint retrospective for the purpose of improving our process towards the next sprint. So to summarize that, what we proved point was that the stakeholder requirements can be better reflected in the user story, as well as the developers need to read. In this next part of the clip, you can see that I'm trying to clarify points being raised by a certain developer, so that it is clear what he's saying is relevant and what he's saying can be used to improve upon the next process. So you can see here that the Scrum Master is the key person in this meeting, because this part of this meeting itself, the sprint retrospective, is actually meant primarily to improve the process of performing Scrum. For example, here in this part of the clip, we can see that this point that's being written down on the board is trying to highlight the fact that the daily Scrum wasn't documented well every day. And the other point that you see below there, the developers were missing out on certain acceptance criteria details that were written on the software that we used to manage the user stories. Other than myself, you can see that in the video the other participants in the sprint retrospective is Kerbun, who is the product owner, as well as obviously the developers. So basically everybody who is tightly involved in the development process itself. So obviously the users and the other stakeholders, they are not involved in the development itself, so they are omitted from this meeting. And actually in reality, the product owner is often also not present in this meeting because in most cases, him being as part of the client wouldn't be tightly involved in the development process. But in our case, Kerbun is actually tightly involved in this whole team. So therefore he's involved in the meeting itself. So the meeting ends when there's agreement on what to do next. That means the last column, something that we commit to improve upon based on all the points raised, so that the next sprint that we embark upon right after this will be much better. So this marks the end of our Scrum series, taken from the perspective of a real software project that we have done recently. So we hope that this has been beneficial to you, and thank you for watching.